सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Before the study of the Bhagavad Gita begins, I want to orient you as to why are we actually embarking on a study of the Veda, what is the Veda and how does Vedanta fit into the structure of Veda. Is Vedanta different from the Veda? We need to even look at that because there's a lot of confusion. There is also this word Upanishads, which I find that people really do not understand when we use the terms Upanishad and Vedanta. And what is the Jnana Kanda? What is the Karma Kanda? So how are these two different? Do they have any connection with and the Veda? Of course, you have the usual questions. What is free will? Everybody wants to know that, am I really doing anything? Do I have a choice in life? What are actions? What is knowledge? And what is this life of spirituality? Why do sometimes Vedantins say that we have nothing to do with Hinduism? And at times they say that Vedanta is Hinduism. And all this confusion I want to clarify in this series of talks. Also, whether religion, as we generally use this word, we coin this word dharma, whether dharma can be interpreted as religion. Because if we say religion, then we compare Vedanta with all other religions. So is Vedanta a religion? So we will look at all these questions and try to answer them. I will try to answer them to the best of my ability and effort. If you have any questions, you are most welcome to ask me, or even you can, those watching online can probably post these in the comments. I will also put my email down there in the link below, or it will flash across your screen when I edit this video. So let us first understand what is dharma, because we begin from there. Dharma takes different meanings in this text. Various texts of Vedanta, various texts, spiritual texts are available for humans to read. The scriptures talk about dharma. And within the Bhagavad Gita itself, dharma has been used in a very different connotation. So one needs to interpret every word, especially this word dharma, which is so commonly used, but it comes across the texts. And if you think that dharma is religion only, you tend to misinterpret. The meaning in your head can change just by looking at that one word. So dharma basically comes from the root dhr. So dhr is to dharati iti, that which holds, that which upholds. So just imagine that you are an assembly of various parts. Or for example, let us say you want to, let us take this camera for this example, okay, which people generally understand. So the camera has to be held. So what do? We put it on a tripod. So the tripod is holding the camera. Now can we do without the tripod? You might say, yes, I will keep it on some books or some stand, some other stand other than a tripod. But you need something to hold the camera. So dharati, the camera is being held by this stand. So there is something that you require to hold the, if you want the camera to exist in a particular position, you need something else to hold it. and that is the dhr, that is the thing that holds it. Dharayati, dharayati iti dharma, that which upholds, that which holds. So let's look at our lives. As a human being, I begin my journey in life. What is it that holds me? Everything that holds me and supports me is actually my dharma. Everything and anything that holds me. So where is the question of religion here? There is no religion. We are not talking of religion. We will come to that later. So that brings me to one interesting point when I'm talking about dharma. In Sanatana Dharma, see, Sanatana is something that is eternal. Eternal is that which is unchanging. So it almost becomes a law. A law not set by the courts of the country. It is not a law set by the High Court or the judiciary system. It is not a law that has been set by the Supreme. It is a law that has been set by what we call as Ishvara or Bhagavan. Now, when I use these words Ishvara and Bhagavan, I don't want you to translate it into the English word God. You just leave these words Ishvara and Bhagavan, because this particular set of videos that I'm making is going to build your understanding and make you ready for the study of the Upanishads. So I want to be very careful with my words, and I want to ensure that I don't create a wrong understanding in your minds. So wherever I say, just hold on to that understanding of Ishvara and Bhagavan, keep your mind open and just accept those words for the time being. I will explain every word carefully in due course, because I can't explain everything right away to you. So slowly we will progress. Right now we are looking at the word dharma, and I said that this dharma is that which upholds you, that which holds you. Sanatana Dharma is something that is eternal, and it is that which upholds you and me. It upholds this entire universe. Sanatana Dharma is not religion. Sanatana Dharma is a set of, is an understanding. Sanatana Dharma is an understanding. So you can be a Sanatana Dharmi even if you are living in Venezuela, Mexico, Brazil. You can be a Sanatani. Or you could be a Sanatani living in the US. You could be a Sanatani living in Australia. You could be a Sanatani living in Antarctica. Any part of the world. You could be a Sanatani living in Timbuktu. You can be a Sanatani if you have the understanding of the laws that govern this entire universe, the multiverse, and you also know who is the one who is the lawgiver, Ishvara. So we don't use words like God, heaven, hell and all these things, which is why there are in Sanskrit, there are many words which are non-translatable. You must never translate these words. One of them is dharma, second is Ishvara. You can't translate. The moment you take it into English, you know that word itself becomes an obstacle. The understanding becomes an obstacle. And for all your life, you will be questioning the purport of the Veda, the purport of Hinduism, because you won't understand the intent of the passages, the sentences of the Veda. So, Sanatana Dharma is a set of laws which uphold life. I'm not talking about human beings here anymore now. I'm talking about life. We are all concerned with life, which is why we do not indulge or engage in any activity which threatens our own life and the life of others. When I say life of others, again, you would be thinking that I'm talking about life of human beings. No. Here in Sanatana Dharma, we have numerous mantras which extol, which protect, talk about protection of life forms, not just humans. We are talking about protecting lives of animals, insects, plants, amoeba, algae, minutest, abrahma bhuvanaloka, abrahma stamba paryantam. Right from, if there is a life form living beyond this planet of ours, even those lives we pray for, which is where our understanding of Pitrus, that is, who are the Pitrus? Pitrus are our own forefathers. Our father, that very father for whom you cry for, or the mother you cry for when he or she departs. So in other civilizations, they will probably be concerned about their parents maximum, to the point where they are visible on this planet. Once they pass away, if we are lucky or they are blessed, they are concerned for another few 13, 14 days, or maybe for 1 year they will remember. But after that they forget. But here in Sanatana Dharma, as long as the child is alive, until he becomes adult, even he becomes old, until he takes what we call as sannyasa. I will explain to you the term what is sannyasa later, hold it in abeyance. Until he takes sannyasa, he continues to do rituals. He continues to pray. For whom? Not for himself, not for the plants and animals. That he does all those prayers, but besides that, he does prayers for the Pitrus. Pitrus are not just one generation, the earlier 2 generations and 3 generations. And then he not only prays for Pitrus of his own, that is, he doesn't only pray for his own ancestors, he understands that there are many ancestors who have gone, dead and gone, and they don't have children. So who is going to do the prayers for them, to give them higher births so that they can evolve into better lives? So he prays for them also. Not only that, he prays for the ancestors of his own enemies. There are shlokas. I will chant the mantras to you later. I will show you each mantra in our texts, spiritual texts, which talk about this entire Brahmanda. It uses this word Brahmanda, which covers everything. It is not just one universe. We don't bother about this word universe and multiverse. We just say Brahmanda. There can be million verses, but we will send our prayers to the entire Brahmanda. Such a beautiful dharma. Now you understand what is the meaning of dharma. Dharma is that. Dharma is those laws which uphold not just this one planet. It upholds this entire Brahmanda. So you see how vast the thought goes. It goes right to the end of the Brahmanda. In this Brahmanda, you also have your 7 lokas up, and you have 7 lokas down. In English, if you say heaven and hell, it's a very localized and a limited concept. These heaven, we say heavens, we don't say heaven, we say hells. We don't say hell. In fact, we don't have these words heaven and hell. We do use words like Swarga and Narka, but this Swarga and Narka have different connotations. One has to understand this. And there is nothing permanent. There is no permanent hell and there is no permanent heaven. None of these lokas up, none of these lokas down are permanent. There is this Vakya which says, Kshine Punye Martya Lokam Vishanti. You might go to the heavens, you can go to the hells. All these 14 spheres, we talk about these 14 spheres. You could go to any of these 14 spheres, but you will return to the Martya Loka. This is our planet. Our planet is called as Martya Loka. It is the sphere of existence that we are in, where we come again and again to learn our lessons. Why do we have to learn our lessons? It's like going to school. It is like going to school to learn and to educate our minds. The Veda also talks about these heavens and hells where you go because you have done some good action or some bad action. What are good actions and bad actions? These are actions which go against dharma. Now see the connection? I'm coming to karma now. Slowly from dharma, I will be moving to karma. Because it is one thing to talk about very idealistically and keeping everything at the theoretical level of discussing all these concepts. But we are talking of life. Life is to be lived in the present moment. It is to be lived here and now. So, if the Vedas, which begin in every kalpa, in every creation, I have introduced you to another word called kalpa. I will be defining this word again in depth later. We will see time. How does Hindu cosmology or the Vedic cosmology look at time as a measurement? We will also look at space, which can be used to understand our sense of identity, where we belong in the space and time. What are we supposed to do? So doing is a very important part in knowing. I will explain this statement to you. Many ideas are coming in my mind right now, but I will keep it in abeyance because I don't want to confuse too much. Right now, let us stay with the words dharma and karma. So, dharma is dharayati iti dharma. We saw dharayati iti dharma. That which upholds, that which strengthens, that which nourishes, that which protects is dharma. I'm slowly enlarging the understanding of this word dharma. Please do not confuse it with religion. One thing I want to tell you here, which I was going to mention earlier, I brought in this concept of Sanatana Dharma. Why? In Sanatana Dharma, in fact, it is the only body of knowledge. Sanatana Dharma is a body of knowledge which can change the understanding of humanity, because it is talking about humanity. So when it's talking about changing the understanding of, and it's talking about humanity as a whole, along with all the life forms, it's going to deal with laws. And these laws are also mentioned in our scriptures. So one is, it's about knowledge about the whole. It will talk about laws. Why does it talk about laws? Because it is going to talk about karma, it's going to talk about action, it is going to talk about choices, it is going to talk about the choices that you and I are making in this moment. So we talk about karma. It will talk about free will. Why will it talk about free will? Why does it talk about free will? Because animals don't have that free will. It observes that and it tells us that. Animals don't have free will. What do I mean? That animals don't have free will. Because let us say there is a donkey standing. Okay, I am the master of the donkey. I go behind the donkey and I catch hold of the tail and I pull the tail. The donkey will not even look behind. It will just kick and all my teeth will be out. A donkey's kick is very powerful. So is a horse's. And you won't know, their reflexes are so strong and quick. The moment it senses pain, it will kick you with the hind leg. So I must be careful when I deal with animals, because an animal has no choice. An animal does not think before it acts. It has no free will. You need free will to think before you act. Kartum shakyam, akartum shakyam, anyatava kartum shakyam. I can do, I need not do, or I can do otherwise. A human being has this choice. The animal, the donkey kicked me because he can only react. It does not need to think. Whatever, we have still not looked at this word Bhagavan, but I'm going to use it again, or Ishvara. Let me temporarily use this word creator. Whoever the creator is, which we will look into later, whoever the creator is of that donkey has programmed the donkey in such a way that it will kick. Are you understanding? So the dharma of the donkey is to kick. The human being has the dharma or the ability to think. See how I'm using this word dharma in different ways. Your understanding of dharma changes when you expose yourself to the knowledge of Sanatana Dharma. Although I'm speaking in English, my training has been in a traditional system where I gathered this understanding of Sanatana Dharma, and I live in a culture which thankfully exists today, despite the onslaughts of invasions and conquests and all the polluted education that we have had in an English system. To reorient our thoughts, I continue to enjoy the benefits of what we call as Purvaja. Purvaja is our previous ancestors. Purvaja, our Purvajas, our ancestors, my forefathers, they transferred this not in the form of a teaching but in the form of a living. So we still see it in families existing all across the country, a country which we call as Bharata. We will see this word Bharata as well, which is why I'm just throwing in the words slowly. So this is just an introductory talk where I'm sharing with you what all will be unfolded in this series of talks that I'm going to do now. So our very family life teaches us many things which have come into our lifestyle. So now we're going to discuss lifestyles, we're going to discuss karma. When we understand karma properly, we have this understanding of dharma that dawns upon you. But to understand dharma, we have to follow dharma. So that brings me to this point where I must tell you that Sanatana Dharma it's a master framework which the universe or every part of the world requires in today's present day and age, where there are so many wars happening. So it is only Sanatana Dharma which can bring us out of this chaos. Sanatana Dharma works in frameworks. It's got an ultimate framework. Within the framework, there are two other frameworks which exist. One is your Ishvara Srishti. The second is the Jiva Srishti. Okay, so we have these different frameworks which deal with the Ishvara and the Jiva Srishti. And there is one more Srishti in between that happens. We need to understand even that. So there are different frameworks, and the same word dharma will be used in all three frameworks, or at least two of them. So when the frameworks change, the connotation of dharma changes. Okay? This is a confusion which I find. See, the layman, these are the ones who have not had the education of the Veda. Whatever little knowledge they get, I personally know. I've seen the families in Mumbai, in cities. I've lived in this country for over 53 years. And when I went to the West in Brazil and spent 3 years of my life, it gave me a better understanding of my country when I returned from there, because I could now compare the civilization which is in contrast almost to the civilization of Bharat. So I can see, I think I have had the privilege, the opportunity to see the advantages and also the disadvantages. There are many things which we have got into our culture because of the invasions. Now, if I were to only live in India, I would never know what is the pollution that has percolated through this to the culture. If were I not to have gone outside the country and then returned. So this gives me that ability to see it in a different light, and ultimately in the light of the Veda. So we are coming to the frameworks of Sanatana Dharma. Sanatana Dharma is it's like a master algorithm. It's a code. It's a code that runs in this entire universe. You just have to surrender to this code. Allow the code to run through your mind, and you will clean the code that exists in your mind. Because we have been polluted, absolutely polluted. We have been corrupted. Our programming has been corrupted. And every citizen, not just us, I notice this in countries abroad also. So what we talk about this, there is a very popular narration that goes on, the left, the left, the left, the left. So we will look into what the left means, how they can corrupt the Vedic body of knowledge. They are all anti the Vedic body. The Sanatana knowledge has been corrupted in the globe today. And I am totally of the view that if Sanatana knowledge spreads across in human minds, automatically ecology will improve, environment will improve, we will have a better planet. There won't be as many wars. It will take a while, and the wars will also, number of wars will go down. Everything will blossom, and all we will be concerned about is not the gross domestic product. We will be concerned about the gross happiness index, the GHI, not the GDP. So even our economic systems, in this series of talks, I'm going to look at not just the philosophies that have polluted Sanatana Dharma. I will also be looking at the economic models that these philosophies bring in with them. And in the process, of course, we will look at what religion means, and we will understand that humankind does not need any religion. All it needs is to understand the laws that uphold the planet and the laws that uphold the individual. When I talk about individuals, I will talk about families as a unit, then we'll proceed to understanding what makes a community, what makes a society, what makes a state, what makes the nation. So we are talking about a totality, because that is how Sanatana is about. Sanatana Dharma will and must talk about the total. It cannot exclude a country, it cannot exclude a human being, it cannot exclude a race or a community. It cannot exclude any color. You can't divide it. You can't divide this whole into parts and say that you are different, I'm different. No. We have to understand the totality, and we have to understand the theory that goes behind everything. We have to understand that substratum eventually. We have to understand that one common thread that binds you and me together, without which it's all incomplete. It will be bits, pieces, it will be chaos. It will be destruction, it will be famine, it will be disaster, it will be disease, and it will be destruction in the end. Man will not know how to use the intellect, how to use his understanding, and he will create dangerous, extremely damaging weapons and machines which will eventually destroy mankind itself. So we are going to look into the choices that we are going to make. We are going to look at our own actions. So like I said, we are looking at dharma, we are looking at karma. These are the only two things that disturb a human being. A human being gets disturbed because of choices made by others, and he gets disturbed by choices he makes himself. These two things. So karma, we will look at karma in depth. And before we act, we have to have knowledge in us. So we will look at knowledge. What is this knowledge? What is this knowledge of dharma that I'm talking about? We need to look at what exactly do I need to know before I act. And most importantly, we will also look at free will, which has to tell me, how am I different from an animal? What is it that makes me different from an animal? Why can't I live like an animal? Animals seem to be more happy. But then, what is the privilege of having a human body? Am I blessed to be a human being, or should I pray to the Creator that I be born as an animal? These are questions that need to be answered. So, if I were to just start recording some kind of a book, a Bhagavad Gita or some Advaita Makaranda or some Brahma Sutra, and I find that I'm not reaching out to many people, because we as scholars today or as seekers are poring over these texts, these books that these great rishis of this country have left behind. Don't think these are just books. These are containers of knowledge. But how many people have access to it? Today, it's not the question of having access. They may have access, but people don't have time. Today, it's not just about access and time. People may have access, people may have time, but people don't have the frame of mind. Today, our minds have been hijacked, they have been kidnapped, they have been taken away by industry. They have been taken away by governments. So, today one does not have the relative peace of mind. where one can pore over these bodies of knowledge, pore over these texts to understand what wealth has been left behind by our forefathers and the people before them, whom we call as rishis, the beings before them, who have left their understanding, what they saw as a reality for a fact, and they left behind in the form of words, orally. This used to be an oral transfer of knowledge. Then came the printing press, which is why we have the books today. But then it's a question of time. It's a question of your patience. Do you have the patience and the time to delve into this body of knowledge called the Veda? I'm going to take you through that. I'm going to show you all the misunderstandings that are going on today, which are being encouraged by many politicians as well, and many religionists, so that they can keep their business going. But we need to look at it very objectively, understand every word, and not get caught at the same time in jargon. We need to step out from it, and we also need to be and stay with it for some time, so that the understanding takes place in our minds, so that we become free as humans. And then we can contribute and change the lives of others. Until then, we cannot do anything. We need not worry about how the governments are doing, how the politicians are doing. We need not bother about the wars right now. We need to introspect. The responsibility lies on us, and we have just begun this journey in this series of talks where we are talking about dharma. What is it that upholds us? We are talking about karma. What is the action that we have to do? And we are going to look at free will, choice. We are going to look at what is the purpose of our lives. So with this, I will end this particular talk, and in the next series we will launch straight away into dharma, karma, and we will look at the entire body of knowledge called as the Veda. Okay? Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnam Udachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.